Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are Deception Stoppers, America's only 4D education service. Thank God I'm not a lawyer. Thank God this is not a law firm. We don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you made them in private, take care of them in private. And today, gentlemen, what I'm going to show you and prove to you that in Pennsylvania, there is no order from a court or a judge that requires you to pay the 4D crime family. Let's get into it. Now, as you know, as you should now know, all right, if you look at the glossary of common child support terms, all right, this is how I'm starting my videos from here on out. The Child Support Enforcement Program is a federal, state, local partnership. A partnership is an association of two or more persons as co-owners of a business for profit. All right. If you go to the federal manual, page 47, it will tell you, however, every federal agency is responsible for responding to the 4D program that operates in the state as if the federal agency were a private business. It is, in fact, a private business. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to tear apart Pennsylvania. Okay, it's relatively easy. And gentlemen, again, we are not reinventing the wheel. We are taking their information, we're reverse engineering it so you can use it against them. That way, if they come back and say, well, that's not true, then you just take them up on fraud. All right, it's a rock and a hard place for them. So check it out. Bureau of Child Support Enforcement, BCSC, that's who runs child support in the Pennsylvania Commonwealth. They are placed within the Department of Human Services. Check this out. Now, herein lies the problem. Oops, I always lose that page. All right. What do I do with it? There we go. I think I'm too far down. Give me a second. Now, if you read the federal manual, gentlemen, the federal manual, I love this manual because it is written in layman's terms. Okay? It's simple. Okay? If no one out here on the YouTube or TikTok is not teaching you out of this book, then they're not teaching you anything. Now, in the green, most states have placed the child support agency within a social or human services umbrella agency. What is an umbrella agency? An umbrella agency is a company that employs agency contractors who work on a temporary contract assignment. All right. Now, we're going to go to the Bureau of Child Support Enforcement's website. All right. We're going to go right here. All right. We're going to take this. The Department of Human Services, Bureau of Child Support Enforcement, administers Pennsylvania's 4D enforcement program through contracts with 67 counties and courts of common pleas. Okay? The DRS, which is the domestic relations section of the courts of common pleas, provide child support services in the counties. The DRSs establish paternity, child support orders, and enforce obligations for Pennsylvania families. That is a lie. To collect unpaid support from a non-custodial parent, a DRS may attach the person's income, suspend driver's license, hunting license, fishing license, professional license, yada, 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 passports, and place liens against property and monetary. All right, y'all know all that shit. Okay, so right here, all right, the Pennsylvania 4D program, which is what? A business for profit, is based on federal and state statutes as well as Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules and procedures. That is bullshit. Supreme Court cannot operate for the Department of Human Services, which is in the executive branch. Okay. The federal statutory basis for the program is what? Title 4D, 42 USC 651. Now, the state statutory basis is Title 23 of the Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes. Now, I've already showed you in the last video that in order for any Pennsylvania Consolidated Statute to apply to you, you must consent to it. All right. Remember, PACS Title 1, PACS 1921, if possible, to give effect to its provisions. The only thing that makes it possible is your consent. All right. So the Department of Human Services, Bureau of Child Support Enforcement, all right, these people operate underneath the federal government. They do not operate for the state, for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Okay. They submitted a business plan, 45 CFR 301.10, and they went into contracts with these courts. You already know that. So here's the contract law. Okay. 302.34, which you should already know. The 4D plan provides that the 4D agency will enter into agreements with contracts under 303.107 terms with what? Appropriate courts, law enforcement, clerks of court, sheriffs, police, district attorneys, attorneys generals, all right, prisons, okay? Judges do not operate off of a contract. They swear an oath to the Constitution. So that being said, when they're performing under Title 4D, they are not judges. They are contractors. And as contractors, they do not have judicial power. But that's how the state plays it. All right. Don't be snookered into this garbage. All right. So they go into this contract. Okay. And what they do is they assist the 4D agency, right? And then they get reimbursed, all right, for their assistance. All right. That's a bribe. Okay. So they're bribing the courts, gentlemen. Now, this is what I really love about this. Let me go to the Pennsylvania contract. Let's see here. What did I do with it? What did I do with it? I got it over here somewhere. All right. So under this PA contract, all right, this is the PA contract, page 44. All right. The domestic relations section employees are considered contractors of the Commonwealth. Okay. They are contractors. They are not state employees. We're going to go to page, I believe it is 94. All right. Independent parties in performing the services, right here in the green, required by the contract, the county and the DRS will act as independent parties and not as employees or agents of the Department of Human Services. All right. So they're also not employees of the state under that contract. This includes the judge. Okay. You have been duped. Okay. When you go to Pennsylvania for a 4D hearing, you don't see a judge. Let me see if I've got it up here. All right. Check it out. We're going to go to some AI. In Pennsylvania, there is no specific list of judges under 4D because all county level judges in the Court of Common Pleas, specifically those in family division, are responsible for child support cases that fall under Title 4D of the Social Security Act. The 4D program, the partnership, sets federal standards for child support enforcement, which Pennsylvania and other states must follow. Now, check it out. County domestic relations sections. Pennsylvania's 4D system is administered at the county level through domestic relations section, which are what? They're contractors. Okay? They are contractors right here. All right. And performing the services required by agreement, the county and the DRS will act as independent parties and not as employees or agents of the Department of Human Services. That means you can sue them, gentlemen. You can sue them. Now, what is the purpose of this contract? Check it out. the county child support enforcement agency enters into a 4D contract with the court hereafter what? The contractor. To do what? Purchase services for the effective administration of support enforcement. And unless otherwise specified, the terms of this contract apply to both government contractors and private contractors. All right, that means the judge, the clerk of the court, the sheriff, all right, and anybody else who's operating in here. The 4D contract in the pink consists of this document and all tax forms or documents that are incorporated and deemed to be part of the 4D contract as fully written herein. Nothing in this 4D contract shall be construed contrary to state or federal laws and regulations. All right, I beg to differ. All right, again, go down to line 18. Okay, independent capacity for the contractor, the courts, and its agents, employees, and subcontractors will act in performance of this 4D contract in an independent capacity and not as officers, employees, or agents of the state or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the 4D crime family. So if this, how does a court order, come from a person who is not an officer, employee, or agent of the state? Okay. Second of all, that's also what we call bribery. Okay. Let's see here. Now, all you have to do, if you want to find these people, all you got to do is Google domestic relations section, and they have one for every 67, all 67 counties. These people here, gentlemen, you can sue. They are contractors. They are not state employees. They do not get immunity. They are not officers, employees, or agents of the state. Okay. Now, here's the fun part. Because they are giving them payment for their assistance. All right, under Pennsylvania law, first and foremost, check this out. You now know that the 4D program, the Child Support Enforcement Program, is a federal and state partnership. You also now know, all right, that on page 47, all right, it is a private business. So this private business is paying judges to do what? Rule in its favor. We're going to go to the Code of Judicial Conduct. A judge should not lend the prestige of his or her office to advance the private interest of others, nor convey or knowingly permit others to convey the impression that they are in a special position to influence the judge. All right. Judges who have a financial interest in a case cannot sit in a child support case because of the reimbursement that they get. That is also known as bribery. Okay. It's illegal to bribe a judge. Let's see here. Go here. We're going to go to PA bribery law. All right. In Pennsylvania, bribery right here is a felony under 18 CSA 4701, involving the offer, conferring, or accepting of a benefit to influence a public servant, judge, or his officials in official actions or in proceedings, all right, administrative or judicial process. That it requires a direct quid pro quo. So in other words, what the 4D agency does when they go into the contract with these corrupt ass courts and judges, they say, listen, man, we're going to put you in this contract, and for helping us collect this money, you're going to use the prestige of your office. All right. And you're going to rule in our favor every time. And in return for that, we're going to give you a payment. That is a bribe, gentlemen. That is a straight up bribe. Now, under Pennsylvania Constitution, all right, excuse me, because I'm working on 3 screens here. There it is. All right, Pennsylvania Constitution. What is the court's authority? Okay, right here, Article 1, subsection 11. And this is how you can tell that they are bullshitting you when you voluntarily walk into one of these hearings. All courts shall be open, and every man for injury done him in his land's good person and reputation shall have remedy by due course of law. and right and justice administered without sale, denial, or delay. So in other words, the courts, all right, if there is no man with an injury, they have no authority. They are simply sitting in these child support hearings in return for payment. Okay. Now let's see. What they do is in Pennsylvania, they use, like every other state, all right, they use what's called court-appointed hearing officers in 4D support cases, who are attorneys who hold hearings, gather testimony and evidence from parties, which is you, who waive your Fifth Amendment, then make written recommendations to what? A judge for a final decision. That judge, in return for payment, is making that final decision, all right? And he's doing so by lending the prestige of his or her office. And they're also conveying and knowingly permit the 4D, the domestic relations sections, who are contractors, to convey the impression that they are a special position to influence the judge. How can you prove that? Go right to their website. Here it is. The DRS Establishment Fraternity. That's not what I want. All right, right here. It says the DRS can issue a bench warrant and fine a person in civil contempt of court, which may lead to imprisonment or a fine. How is it, right? The DRS is not they're not judges. How is it that an independent contractor, right, or a contractor who is acting in an independent capacity have the authority, and who is not an officer, agent, or employee of the Commonwealth, where do they get the authority to issue bench warrants from? Let alone the authority to suspend driver's license and all that other BS that you go through. Okay? Under this contract, the sheriff is not an officer, agent, or employee of the state. So that means when they do their regular roundups in Pennsylvania and they come and try to arrest you, you have a right to defend yourself lethally if necessary. You have the right to defend yourself against someone trying to kidnap you. Don't you? Yes, you do. And guess what? You will be legal. It's self-defense, because guess what? They're not officers, agents, or employees of the state or the Commonwealth, all right? And they have no authority under Title 4D. And don't forget, they get paid. So now you got brought. You're there. The child support. Yeah, the unit, right, is bribing judges. They're bribing sheriffs. They're bribing clerks of court. They're bribing the police. All right, they are violating every bribery law, federal and state. All right. Federal and state bribery laws is what they're violating. These contracted judges are violating, number one, their oath of office, because judges swear an oath to uphold the Constitution for the Commonwealth and the United States. They don't swear an oath to uphold Title 4D of the Social Security Act. And by now, you should already know that Title 4D of the Social Security Act was never enacted into positive law, which means any of these contractors who are enforcing it are operating under color of law. And because they're operating under Title 4D, they are not. Let's see if I got it up here. They are not. No, I don't have it up. They are not agents. Oh, here it is. Right here. Remember, anything. All right. And this is by consent. All right. Anything dealing with child support, garnishment, similar procedures. All right. The United States and its instrumentalities, which is the Bureau of Child Support Enforcement and the Domestic Relations Section, all right, shall be in like manner subject in the same extent as if the United States District Court were a private person, right? Which means, right, they're a person who does not have sovereign or other special immunities or privilege, which calls that person not to be subject to legal process. Gentlemen, you can sue them all day, every day. All right, the broad that runs the crime family, the 4D crime boss, her name is Jaylene Bowers. She is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Okay? Her office is right around the corner from the Department of Human Services. They will tell you that the Department of Human Services runs child support. It does not. Okay? And if you look at these statutes, the single and separate organizational unit, check it out. Remember, right? The plan provides for the establishment or designation of a lone, detached, and disconnected organizational unit to organize the 4D plan. Such unit is referred to as the 4D agency, which may be what? Located where? In any other state agency. All right. Where did they put it? All right. Right here. Most states have placed the child support agency within just the social or human services umbrella agency. All right. Let's go back here. The 4D agency, which is Jaylene Bauer, shall be responsible and accountable for the operation of the 4D program. The 4D agency, gentlemen, is in the executive branch, which means the courts are violating separation of powers. Okay, and there is no constitutional order of any court in any of these 67 counties in Pennsylvania that require you to pay, which means because it's all bullshit, you're not obligated to pay. Now, if they're garnishing your wages, you're going to have to sue them. Okay? You can file an injunction against these people, and you can sue them in federal court. They do not get immunity. All right? And guess what? Because they're operating in a private capacity, the Roker-Feldman doctrine and the Younger abstination doctrine and the domestic relations doctrine, none of these apply. They're actually all moot. Okay? You can find Jaylene Bowers if you look for her. Gentlemen, this applies in every state, but because I just did Pennsylvania, I want you guys to realize that these judges, these so-called judges, all right, they're not judges. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is real quick before we get out of here, I'm going to go here. Hey, handsome devil. Let's go here. I'm going to stop sharing that. And we are going to go here. Come here, you. All right, at that, move a different screen here. I hope I have it. I don't think I do. Let's see here. There we go. Give me a second. Now, what I did was I took the liberty of course, going into the Bible, which is the Black's Laws Dictionary. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you a warning. Anything that these people write, if you do not go into Black's Laws Dictionary and tear it down, you're going to get taken advantage of. It's already bad enough that you're waiving your rights and dealing with these people. Remember, you have the right to associate. You have the right to not associate. This is a business for profit. All right, you can't be compelled to associate with a business for profit. Right. And don't forget, if you didn't apply for Title 4D services, these are unsolicited services, which fall under the officious intermeddling doctrine. What is a contractor? The term is strictly applicable to any person who enters into a contract. Okay. But it is commonly reserved to designate one, here it is, for a fixed price undertakes, which means contract, to procure the performance, which is contract, on a large scale or furnishing services in large quantity, whether for the public or a company or individual. One who in pursuit of independent business, right, business for profit, undertakes to perform a job or piece of work, retaining himself control of means, method, and manner of accomplishing desired result. What is the desired result? To get a 4D order so they can justify them stealing your money. Now, because it's a contractor, I'm going to come back to this one. All right, check it out. Judicial. What is judicial? Belonging to the office of a judge. All right, not a contractor. As judicial authority, relating to, connected with the administration of justice. What is the administration of justice in Pennsylvania? Right here. All right. Subsection 11. The court shall be open to every man for injury done him. No man, no injury. All right. No judicial business. All right. Judicial authority. All right. The power and authority appertaining to the office of a judge. All right. Not the office of a contractor. Jurisdiction. The official right to hear and determine questions of controversy. That excludes Title 4D. What is a judge? Oh, yeah, wrong screen. Okay, here we go. All right. A judge is an officer so named in his commission who presides in some court, which is Article 1, subsection 11. All court shall be open to every man for injury done him. Okay? Appointed to preside to administer the law, not Title 4D of the Social Security Act, in a court of justice, not a Title 4D hearing. All right? The chief member of a court and charged with the control of proceedings and the decisions of questions of law discretion. Now, you got a problem here, okay? My favorite, expressio unius persons exclusio est exclusio alterius. The mention of a contractor is the exclusion of a judge, which means that there is no child support order from any court in Pennsylvania, okay? Which means also that these hearings, anything that they do under Title 4D is coram non judice, in the presence of a person, not a judge. When a suit is brought and determined in a court, which has no jurisdiction in the matter, then it is said to be coram non judice, and the judgment is void. All right? Any child support order in Pennsylvania is coram non judice, gentlemen. It is void. All right? It is void. Contractors have no authority to issue any orders. Okay, under Pennsylvania Constitution, gentlemen, and check it out. And I love this. All right, we're gonna go back. All right, here we go. I'm gonna share this screen. I have to switch sides because of here it is right here. Constitution of Pennsylvania. Okay. Inherent rights of what? Mankind. Remember, gentlemen, Title 4D only has authority over an obligor, a non-custodial pay rent. I showed you that in the last video. Under Pennsylvania law, which is the supreme law, it says all men are born equally free and independent. Free means not subject to the legal constraint of another, having the power to follow the dictates of your own free will. By you volunteered to go in there, gentlemen. All right? Under Pennsylvania law, all men are independent. Independent means not dependent, not subject to control, restriction, modification, or limitation from any given outside source. All right. You waived your independence when you went and got a driver's license and registered your car and registered to vote. Right. And Pennsylvania is slick, man, because they assume jurisdiction over people. All right. In the weirdest way. I mean, you go and buy a pack of cigarettes and do any business in the Commonwealth, they assume jurisdiction. And more importantly, they say that if you have sex with any other human being in the Commonwealth, they have jurisdiction over you. How the hell does somebody get authority over you through your sex life? Okay. Government was created to be a benefit, security, and protection of the Article 1 inheritance of equally free and independent men. Gentlemen, it was not designed to operate as a private business that profits from customers. I'm the Osiris, gentlemen. You got issues in Pennsylvania or any other state, my email is tickering across the screen. All right, the notes are available for this video. All right, if you need them, if you need the Pennsylvania contract, we have that. You contact us, and for a small donation, I'll send you everything we have. It's time to stop being obligors and oblihos and non-custodial pay rent and walk in your man as freedom. You have your assignment, gentlemen, okay? At this juncture, you have no excuse on why you are paying or getting robbed by the 4D crime family. Hotep.